Hi there, this is Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm a Social Security disability attorney. I want to tell you today why I will be extremely rude to you at your Social Security hearing. Now, let me start by saying that I'm a pretty nice guy. I give to charity, I like puppies, I coach basketball, youth basketball teams and so forth, and generally I'm pretty easy to get along with. But there are situations where I will be really rude to you, and that's at a Social Security disability hearing if you start to ramble. And hear me out, this is why I say this. Social Security hearings generally last about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And most of the time, judges will schedule them every 45 minutes to an hour. About 10 minutes of that hearing is going to be taken up with preliminary matters, where the judge reads an opening statement, asks some basic preliminary questions about your identification information, where you live, your address, that sort of thing. There's going to be another 10 or 15 minutes that are going to be dedicated to vocational witness testimony at the end of the hearing, where the vocational witness will talk about answer hypotheticals from the judge about your capacity to work. So that maybe leaves 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes at the most for your testimony. And so if I ask you a question, usually I'm asking most of the questions, if I ask you a question, how much can you lift? And you start in with a story about you lifted a table back in 1983 and it fell on your foot and you've limped, we won't get any place. And what happens is the judge gets really frustrated with that. He expects the attorney to control the witness and to keep things on track. Remember, the main issue in a disability case is whether you have the capacity to work an 8-hour day, 5 days a week at a simple entry-level type of job. And so what the judge wants to know is how much can you lift? How long can you sit? How long can you stand? Is your level of pain such that you can't focus and concentrate? And of course, the medical evidence in the file is really going to go to most of this. And he's going to look to your testimony to A, evaluate your credibility, and B, to answer any questions he may have about gaps in the record. So if I ask you a simple question and you start to ramble, it makes the judge's life difficult. Another way, and to put this another way, if I say to you, how much is 2 plus 2, and you give me a history of Euclidean geometry, we're going to get way lost there. And so many times in hearings, my client wants to tell his story or her story, and I certainly understand that. This all started back in the early 80s when he fell off a truck or fell off a ladder. But again, we're only focused on those things that impact your work, so we're going to really be more concerned about what's happened to you the last 4 or 5 months that you tried to work and the problems you were having and what problems you've had ever since. And if you start going into things that are irrelevant, I will cut you off, because if I don't cut you off, what will happen is the judge will cut you off. And I will tell you from experience that if the judge has to keep cutting you off and telling you to get back on track, judge is going to be very frustrated, and frustrated judges tend not to approve cases. So the biggest thing you can do to help yourself and avoid these type of problems is to spend time with me, with your attorney, in a pre-hearing conference. And during that pre-hearing conference, I will ask you the same questions I would ask you at a hearing. I do that so I can see how you answer. And if I find that you're answering questions and you're just rambling and you're telling stories and you're all over the place, I will stop and cut you back and say, no, answer this question. By the same token here, when I ask you questions, how long can you sit, how long can you stand, that's not the time to start thinking about it for the first time. You don't want to say, well, I really thought about that, or I don't really know. You need to know. And I realize that every day is going to be a little bit different, but you need to have an answer. So one of the things that we do in pre-hearing conferences is come up with the answers to those questions we know we're going to be asked. Again, for physical issues, how long can you sit? How long can you stand? How much can you lift? And leave all the backstory and the history and all that stuff. This is not the place for that. I realize that can be frustrating and it can be maddening. You feel like the judge doesn't really know you. But again, if you get into that, we're going to waste our very valuable limited time at the hearing, and you won't get the results that you want. So yes, there will be times I'll be rude to you. Don't take it personally. And again, let's prepare for it so that you know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But again, it's not about being rude. It's about giving the judge what he wants so that we'll get a winning result. And that's really the bottom line. I want to win your case, and I want to do anything I possibly can to win your case. If that means cutting you off and getting you back on track, then I'll do it. Hope this has been helpful. Again, I'm Jonathan Ginsberg. Any questions, please let me know. Send me an email, comment on this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I've got lots of videos coming. I've got a bunch of them already produced, and I think you'll find that very helpful. And again, if you have any questions or any suggestions for future videos, please let me know. I'll try to work them in. Thanks a lot.